Rink Vancouver. Pre-game, post-game, every game presented by Bodog. From sports odds to free casino games, make a play at Bodog.net. Wadden and JPat here with you once again with another edition of the pre-game show. But a reminder to everybody, if you aren't subscribed to this page, please do so now, and why not hit the like button as well. Also, same thing with our podcast. Follow us on your favorite podcast platform so you can get those post-game shows and, of course, the non-game day shows as well. But let's focus in on this one, JPat, as it's the Canucks and the Red Wings once again, the second of the home and home between the two, and the Canucks looking for a better result this time around.
Yeah, different venue, maybe a different result. We'll find out. It's the start of a 3-game homestand for the Canucks. And it's funny, I was looking at this earlier. Only Arizona around the National Hockey League has played fewer home games than the Vancouver Canucks. And of course, Arizona started the season out on the road, I think 20 of 24, as they put the finishing touches on the mullet down there on the campus of Arizona State University. So it stands to reason that the Coyotes have a bunch of home games remaining. So do the Vancouver Canucks, 17, in fact. Of their remaining 29 games will be played at Rogers Arena. And that's what happens when you back-end load your schedule. All these home games, you're hoping they matter down the stretch, but when the season goes sideways, now you're left with a whole bunch of home games that you got to sell tickets for, including this one against the Detroit Red Wings. You've got the Rangers coming in on Wednesday, and the Philadelphia Flyers will wrap up the homestand on Saturday night. So some home cooking for Rick Tocchet and his Vancouver Canucks after a 4-game road trip that saw them win 1 of those 4 games. And of course, for Tocchet, he's 2 for 2 on home ice, beat Chicago in his coaching debut, beat the Columbus Blue Jackets as well. There are better teams out there in the National Hockey League than the Blue Jackets and the Blackhawks. The Red Wings are one of them. The Red Wings aren't a terrific team, but neither are the Vancouver Canucks, and the Red Wings skated away to that 5-2 victory the other day. So let's see if revenge is a factor for the Canucks as they host the Wings tonight.
Let's get to the lineup change, which is presented by Delaney's OK Tire out there on Fraser Highway in Langley. Colin Delia going to get the start in goal. Spencer Martin on waivers, though, JPat.
Yeah, it's not a surprise. Spencer Martin takes the loss the other day, gave up the early goals, and then it was a game of catch-up for him and the Vancouver Canucks, and we know that it's been 10 straight losses for Spencer Martin. Colin Delia gets the start. He's been pretty good for Rick Tocchet. In fact, 3 wins and an overtime loss, so he's delivered points in all 4 of his games. Now, I saw some people questioning, well, if Spencer Martin's on waivers, who's going to be the backup tonight? Just like Lane Peterson a couple of weeks ago, a player is in the NHL until they either clear waivers or are claimed by another team. So Spencer Martin can be the backup. And in fact, if something happened to Colin Delia, Spencer Martin is fully allowed to play in the National Hockey League. He's still on the Canucks roster, and therefore he will be the backup tonight. Now, this is going to be interesting to see if he gets claimed. We talked about a 10-game losing streak. You'd think that that would scare off a lot of teams, but goaltending is such a numbers game, and somebody's got to play the position. The Ottawa Senators just lost a goaltender for the season. You wonder if they would have interest in a player like Spencer Martin for the duration of this year. Of course, he's under contract for next year on a one-way deal as well. That may factor into it. So let's see what Tuesday morning brings, but this much we know. It'll be Colin Delia in goal for the Vancouver Canucks, with Spencer Martin starting as the backup. As far as skaters go, the Canucks don't have a lot of options and a lot of extra bodies hanging around, but it was interesting to see that Andrei Kuzmenko, who's found himself in Rick Tocchet's doghouse here of late, was alternating with Jack Studnicka on the third line yesterday. Now, Studnicka hasn't played since before the All-Star break, so you wonder if he's ready to plug and play right back there, or do they give Kuzmenko another opportunity to see if he responds to this tough luck that he's been getting from the head coach. So we'll have to wait and see until closer to warm up the Canucks without a morning skate this morning. So it'll take until warm-up time to find out exactly who Rick Tocchet is going with his 18 skaters in front of Colin Delia.
Well, one thing that we do know is that the Canucks are going to have to be ready at puck drop. They found themselves down early often here, too often for the Vancouver Canucks. Going to have to be ready once that puck hits the ice.
Yeah, now at least this game starts at the standard 7 o'clock start. Bit of a strange one in Detroit, but it was the same for both teams. The Red Wings were ready. And of course, the Canucks fell behind 1-0 on the first shot on goal, 68 seconds in. And barely a minute after that, the Red Wings scored on their second shot on goal. So yeah, not a great start. The Canucks trailed an awful lot out on this road trip, and we'll see if being at home has them ready. We know that Rick Tocchet hasn't been thrilled with the way that his group has been playing. He's liked more in the third periods. The problem is, by the time they get to the third periods, generally they are down and chasing the hockey game. So let's see if they can get off to a better start. They did in their last home game, if you recall. Seems like a lifetime ago. Bo Horvat was still a Canuck back then, but against Columbus, they opened the scoring a minute and a half into the hockey game short-handed. So they got a decent start that night. We'll see what they can do against the Red Wings tonight.
Yeah, but they're going to have to be disciplined. We all know how bad that PK is. 6 power plays for the Red Wings last time around. Going to have to clean that up.
Yeah, and again, this is an ongoing issue. It's been that way all season long. 2 head coaches now, really, if you track it back to Travis Green, 3 head coaches, and the penalty kill has sort of been a constant. And even if they are the Red Wings and they're below the playoff bar in the East and they're not going to be a postseason team this year, you give them that many chances. A couple of things. One is they're operating with a man advantage, so a pretty good chance it's the NHL that they're going to generate some scoring chances, but also you're leaning on a select group of your own players in that penalty kill role, and you want to extend the bench and you want to get everybody involved. So JT Miller with the punch to the back of Olli Mata's head and then compounded that with the lobbying to the official, and you got the double minor early in the hockey game. Oliver Ekman-Larsson, puck over the glass. Again, these are things that are in the control of these Canuck players, and when you can't kill penalties, don't take many. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing if they can improve their discipline against the Red Wings tonight.
And we talked about them being ready at puck drop, but they also have to be able to play with a lead once in a while.
Yeah, and they found themselves down by 2 in all 4 of those games out on the road. Now, they did a nice job of rallying in the third period against the Islanders, and they won that hockey game. And of course, they were down 4-1 against New Jersey in the first game out of the All-Star break, and they were able to come back and they got a single point out of that one. But by my math, they played 4 hockey games out of the road. They led for all of 25 minutes total across those 4 games. So, you've traded Bo Horvat away. There's your leading goal scorer. Andrei Kuzmenko's not playing much right now. They only have 2 20-goal scorers on the roster. It's a challenge when you get behind. This is the big leagues. And so even a team like the Red Wings, they can defend. And in fact, I think they feel they're at their best when they're sort of playing that lockdown style. They don't like to give up a lot. They don't score a lot, although they did get 5 the other day. But yeah, for the Vancouver Canucks, try to get a jump on an opponent, take advantage of home ice, see if you can get the crowd into it on a Monday night. Whatever the case, it's tough to play come from behind hockey, and the Canucks have just been doing that far too much all season long, but particularly under the new head coach.
One of those 20-goal scorers is Elias Pettersson. He scored in 3 straight, 4 of his last 5.
Yeah, he's going. There aren't enough guys on this team, obviously, that are sort of following suit, but we saw the leadership. He's got the A on his jersey now on most nights here after the All-Star break. So he's going, he's playing well. He's starting to separate himself from the other team, the players on this team in terms of overall scoring. He's up into the 60s now, looking to set a career high here, possibly on the homestand by the end of the week. He may be able to put more points in the bank than he ever has in an NHL season. But yes, he seems to have the good stuff going. He scored again against the Red Wings. So that is 3 goals in his last 2 games. He's got 6 goals, in fact, in the last 5 hockey games. And it's fun to watch. Again, you don't say that a lot about enough players that are in the Vancouver Canuck lineup, but EP40, he's one of those guys to keep a close eye on. And so we'll see what he can do if he can continue his hot hand here against the Red Wings. And again, if Elias Pettersson's going, at least he generally is worth the price of admission.
Let's shift gears now. Take a look at the Red Wings, who have won back-to-back games and 4 of their last 6.
Yeah, starting to play a little bit better. And again, they're led by Dylan Larkin, and he was going the other day. He had 2 goals and an assist, but we talked about the power play. The Canucks, if you give them opportunities, the Red Wings showed that, they can convert, certainly against this Canuck penalty killing. So I think the Red Wings are starting to feel a little bit better about themselves. Again, they're not going to be where they want to be at season's end, but there's a lot of talk about Dylan Larkin and his future, and we'll see as this is a team that, they played without Lucas Raymond the other day, got injured in practice on Friday ahead of the game against the Canucks on Saturday, listed as day-to-day. He's one of their top scorers. They don't have many top scorers, but Lucas Raymond is a terrific young player, so it doesn't come through Vancouver very often. I know Canuck fans certainly would like to be able to see him, but he's listed as a game time decision. But they also have some other nice pieces. Moritz Seider, I thought, did what he does so well from the back end the other day. And of course, Ville Husso right now, anytime he's between the pipes, I think the Red Wings believe that they have an opportunity. This guy is 4-0 lifetime against the Canucks after the win on Saturday. He's expected to get the call again tonight as they start out on a 5-game road trip.
Yeah, and he's won 4 of his last 5 as well. And you mentioned that 5-game road trip. It'll start out west, but it'll end in the east. So quite a distance for the Red Wings.
Yeah, this is a unique road trip. And look, Canucks and Canuck fans know all about travel and the challenges that it presents. The Detroit Red Wings, you're located fairly centrally as far as the continent is concerned, but they're coming out west. They're going to be in Vancouver. Then they go to Calgary and Edmonton. Then they loop back and they go to Seattle. And from Seattle, their next game's in Washington against the Capitals. So yes, it's 4 out west and 1 out east. There's going to be a fair bit of travel for them, but they're the opposite of the Vancouver Canucks, where the Canucks have played a lot of road games and not many at home. Only the Chicago Blackhawks have played fewer road games than the Detroit Red Wings. So the Red Wings are going to have a road-heavy schedule here the rest of the way, but they will knock off 5 in a row, starting with this one tonight at Rogers Arena.
Let's get to the stat that stands out. It's presented by Jason Hominick at jason.mortgage.
I feel like we talk about this an awful lot, whether it's here on these pre-games or on our podcast post-game or the non-game day version. And that, of course, is Canucks penalty killing, and it struggled again on Saturday against the Red Wings. 65.8% on the season, but that's not the stat that stands out because we've been charting it all season long, and now Rick Tocchet comes in, and part of the challenge for him and Adam Foote is to figure out who can kill penalties for them. But in the early going, 7 games under Rick Tocchet, the answer is nobody. Nobody's been able to kill penalties effectively in the last 20 games. And so that goes back to Bruce Boudreau's final 13 and Rick Tocchet's first 7. The last 20 games, the Vancouver Canucks are killing penalties at 61.8%. 61.8%. That is a statistic that stands out. And it's brought to you by our mortgage broker friend, Jason Hominick at jason.mortgage.
Let's get to my Bodog Best Bet. I'm up to 20 wins on the season. Feeling pretty good about this one. Now, I know that both teams didn't score in the first period the last time these two met, but this is the Red Wings and the Canucks. They like to allow some goals. Let's go with both teams scoring in the first period at plus 130. Canucks didn't get their first goal into the second period last game, JPat, but feeling good about this one. They like to score at home. I see both of them getting a tally this time around in the first period.
All right, I can live with that one. I think the Canucks feel that they played well enough over the final 40 minutes. Again, not exactly the blueprint to success, though, giving up 2 shots in the first 2 goals and falling behind 2-0. So you'd like to believe that there'll be a little bit more urgency from the Vancouver Canucks tonight, starting this homestand. And yeah, maybe they get a couple of saves as they make the change to Colin Delia in goal.
Oh, perhaps Colin Delia could be your do-something candidate tonight. Who do you got?
He's not, but they do need him to do some things, especially early. Just hold down the fort, make the saves you're supposed to. Nobody's expecting perfection, and we know it's been a long time since the Vancouver Canucks have had a goaltender that pitched a shutout. But I'm going to Vasily Podkolzin for a couple of reasons. This is going to be his first game on home ice at Rogers Arena since November 21st, the night against the Vegas Golden Knights, that he played 9 minutes and 46 seconds. And that was back then at the tail end of his stint in the NHL before he got sent down to Abbotsford and regained his confidence. Of course, he came out of the All-Star break, has played 4 games now. He scored at Madison Square, so he's got a goal to his credit on the season, but you want more. And he's getting an opportunity to play with JT Miller and Connor Garland. The underlying numbers, they absolutely crushed their matchup. They dominated in possession against the Red Wings. They just didn't score. So, you know what I mean? You want to see a bottom line from anybody and everybody on that line. But I would say take a repeat of the statistical model and play the shifts in the offensive end, likely to lead to some good things. And, oh yeah, one other feather in the cap of Vasily Podkolzin. This is going to be his 100th game in the National Hockey League. So spent a little time in the AHL, but he's back at the bigs now, getting to play at home for the first time in a long time. I'm looking for Vasily Podkolzin. You know the crowd wants to get behind this guy, so I'm looking for Vasily Podkolzin to respond and do something to help the Vancouver Canucks tonight.
Well, let's see if Vasily Podkolzin can do something tonight. Let's see if his countryman, Andrei Kuzmenko, will be in the lineup tonight as the Canucks take on the Red Wings. This has been another edition of the Rink Wide Vancouver podcast presented by Bodog. For Jeff Patterson, I'm Andrew Wadden. Remember, Rink Wide, it's the show that always scores.